Hello, recruit, and welcome to Astroneer Academy 303, Gateway Engines and Cosmic Elevations. In Astroneer Academy 205, we discuss the gateway chambers on the surface of every planet and moon, along with the surface elevation nodes in the Gateway Fast Travel Network. Today, we're going to literally dig deeper as we venture further down than we've ever been before. But before we go too deep into this topic, I should warn you that there are numerous spoilers ahead. If you're the type of astroneer who prefers to make big discoveries on your own, then you might want to stop here. Because from here on out, we're going to be looking at many of the remaining mysteries of the solar system. So you have been warned, and if you continue past this point, be prepared for spoilers. With that disclaimer out of the way, the first thing we need to discuss is a mystery that we discovered in Astroneer Academy 205. Even after activating every surface level gateway chamber, the Gateway Fast Travel Network still had an interior elevation dim node. So what is this dim node, and how do you find it to activate it? To answer those questions, we will need to begin to dig deep down into the planet. Now, there are numerous ways to journey deep inside of a planet. By far the easiest way is to simply wait until you have the bytes and resources to unlock a large rover, and then you can equip it with a drill, paver, and canisters to collect soil. You might want to make a few lights for the journey as well, because it can get rather dark down below. Once you have your rover set up, simply angle the drill and paver downward and start driving forward. In no time at all, you'll be deep underground and seeing things unlike anything you have ever seen before as an astronaut. There are, of course, other approaches to journeying underground. You can equip a drill and canister to your train tool, and outfitted with a lot of tethers, you can create ramps downward. Or you could use a tractor with a drill, take along some packagers, and then carry the tractor on your backpack when you're finished. No matter how you choose to get underground, it is going to be an exciting journey. As you dig further down, the terrain becomes harder and harder. Because of this, it's a good idea to equip the strongest drill possible just to ensure that you can power through anything that you encounter. Early on, the caves will look pretty much the same as any other cave that you've seen before. But as you continue downward, you'll notice that the terrain begins to change colors. Depending on your particular route, you may also notice that the resources are becoming more abundant the deeper you go. As you near the center of each planet, the secondary resources available on the surface and mountainous biomes appear in fairly large quantities. In fact, nearly every resource becomes far more abundant the deeper you go into a planet or moon. And when those secondary resources appear, you are in the mantle biome of the planet. The 5 planets in the solar system have almost cathedral-like caves filled with sights and wonders that will fill you with awe the first time you encounter them. And the mantle biome on each planet is unique. On Sylva, you will find a mushroom forest full of life ranging from small fungi to enormous mushroom trees. On Calidor, you'll encounter a mantle biome with lovely geometric shapes. Vasania's mantle biome features exotically colored flora growing out of both the cave floor and the ceiling. Deep inside the frozen planet of Glacio, you'll find some bulbous latticed plants, along with massive tree-like plants that each contain what I could only describe as a giant pulsating snowball. And on Atrox, fluorescent colors abound with giant trees that have pulsating leaves coming out of their tops. And I haven't forgotten about Decilo and Novus, but their mantle biomes are not as well defined, and they lack unique flora to gaze upon. But the planet mantle biomes all have a few things in common. First, the air is filled with luminescent particles floating all about, adding to the sense of wonder and adding no small amount of spectacle. Many astroneers have to simply stop and stare in wonder the first time they encounter the various mantle layer on any planet. Do not let the beauty of your surroundings lull you into a false sense of security. Hazards will appear even this deep down, and in many cases, their numbers are greater than what you would encounter on the surface of the planet. With high jagged walls and stalagmites blocking your view, it's all too easy to suddenly find yourself face to face with something that wants to kill you. On the upside, your risk of death from a sudden fall is greatly diminished as far down because gravity grows weaker as you make your way toward the center of a planet. Of course, this creates its own problems, especially when you're driving a vehicle. Every little bump can cause a vehicle to temporarily leave the ground, meaning you can't stop, steer, or accelerate till your wheels are back on terra firma. If you dig down just a bit further, you'll continue to make even more discoveries. Not only will you continue to find more and more resources, but you will soon encounter something that seems familiar. The pillars that you will encounter appear to be constructed from the same material as the gateway chambers that we discussed in Astroneer Academy 205. If you approach these pillars, you might find yourself with a sudden new perspective on things. Each surface of these pillars has its own idea of what up is, and walking around one can become quite disorienting. You'll also want to be careful with your land vehicles around these pillars, because it can be quite a chore to get a vehicle detached once they have become oriented to this new gravitational pull. Once you have figured out which way is actually down, continue drilling, and you'll enter the core of the planet and find a scene that is simply awe-inspiring. It's almost as if you have suddenly been transported to an entirely new world altogether. Each pillar from above stretches towards a massive sphere in the very center. Most of those pillars are not attached to that sphere, so you're going to need to make a small jump from the pillar onto the sphere. And of course, that massive sphere in front of you has a name. That, recruit, is the Gateway Engine. Like the pillars leading up to it, the Gateway Engine itself has its own gravity. As you move about, you'll often find your perspective reoriented as it aligns with the gravitational pull of the surface that you're standing upon. If you have not yet powered at least one gateway chamber on the surface of the planet, you'll find that the very center of the Gateway Engine is locked and you cannot enter it. But if you did power at least a single gateway chamber, this shield is removed and you can enter the very center of the Gateway Engine. On one half of the interior of the Gateway Engine, you'll find 3 platforms similar to those found on gateway chambers. But instead of a power plug, these platforms have a tier 1 slot for a resource and a symbol indicating what resource is required. If you refer back to the Astropedia, you can easily identify which resource is being requested. Each planet and moon requires a different resource for the Gateway Engine. On Sylva, you need quartz, zinc for Desilo, explosive powder for Calidor, graphene for Visanya, silicone for Novus, diamond for Glacio, and hydrogen for Atrox. Insert the required resource into any of those platforms and a brand new object will appear, the geometric triptych. The Gateway Engine shield also reappears, locking you inside of the core. Don't panic though, you're not permanently locked in. If you read the tooltip for the Triptych, you'll learn that it is an unknown power source. Of course, power in this context is not the sort of power that we're used to thinking about as an astroneer. You can't plug this Triptych into a platform and suddenly receive power for your research chambers. Instead, if you look directly above you, you'll see that the other half of the gateway chamber contains a single platform with a tier 1 slot on top of it. Since gravity is relative to the surface that you're touching, you can easily walk along the sides and then up or down, or, well, you can walk to that area. You may have already noticed that the Triptych has a unique symbol on its surface. And of course, you find that same symbol on this platform in the Gateway Engine. So simply place your Triptych into the tier 1 slot and watch as it's consumed. Once the Triptych is consumed, an odd stone appears. Gaze into it and you will see a very familiar sight. That same Gateway Fast Travel Network map appears, and you have now identified what the interior elevation node is. Now you can teleport from the core to any bright node surface elevation and right back in again. While you are in the core, you might have noticed that you're not consuming any oxygen. That is because the Gateway Engine is the one place on the planet that provides oxygen. There is one other location in the solar system that provides oxygen as well, and we're gonna go there in just a moment. But first, let's explore a bit of trivia. We know that the Gateway Chambers and Engine are part of the Gateway Fast Travel Network. But did you know that the G.A.T.E part of Gateway also refers to a patented exodynamics technology? G.A.T.E, or Gravistar Antimatter Travel Expediter, not only provides the technology to teleport from node to node, but it is also in use throughout your journey as an astroneer. In a rare scan from a very old exodynamics recruitment pamphlet, we see that the G.A.T.E system was even in use during our travels to arrive in our current solar system. But let's go back to the Gateway Engines and that mysterious dim cosmic elevation node. It's a good idea to take 2 of the resources required in the Gateway Engine with you as you make your way to the core of the planet. The first will provide a geometric triptych that will unlock the shield around the Gateway Engine itself, along with the odd stone. The second one will be used for a much higher purpose, and it will complete the Gateway Fast Travel Network. So, if the cosmic elevation is currently dim, how are we supposed to get there? Well, for that, recruit, you're going to need a shuttle. Return to the surface either via the way you entered the core of the planet or by teleporting to one of the bright surface nodes. And you know what? That is a very good place for us to pause for a quick pro tip. When you venture into the core of a planet or moon, it's a good idea to take something along to mark your entry. When you're in the core of a planet, you can easily become disoriented and quickly forget which of the many pillars you used to get into the center. If you mark the very end of the pillar that you used to enter the gateway engine with a beacon or even a tether, it will help you find your way back out with ease. And once you have found your way back out to the surface, head to your shuttle and blast off into space. Once in orbit view, you'll find that a new object has appeared. In an orbit very close to the sun, you will see the Unidentified Satellite. Plot your course and you'll be whisked away. Now, this isn't a particularly large destination, but it does feature several landing platforms. Once you've landed, exit your shuttle and prepare for yet another awe-inspiring view. From the surface of the Unidentified Satellite, you are treated to a spectacular view of the planets orbiting around the sun. But don't spend too much time sightseeing because your mission is not over yet. If you look toward the center of the satellite, you see 7 platforms aligned in a row. Each of these platforms has a unique symbol on it, which matches the symbols of the triptych from each planet and moon. Simply match the symbols on the platform with the triptych that you have, place that triptych on the platform, and things begin to happen. A large ring will rise from the satellite and it begins to spin about. Also, on one of the elevated areas just beyond the triptych platforms, you will see an odd stone appear. Recruit, this is a very special odd stone. It might not be the most special one to appear, but it is incredibly unique. Gaze into this odd stone, and instead of the Gateway Fast Travel Network map that you're accustomed to, you see a holographic map of the entire solar system. If you click on a planet where the Gateway engine has not been powered by a triptych, you'll hear an audible alert warning that you cannot travel to that planet. But if you click on a planet where you have activated the Gateway engine, you will be teleported to that planet's interior elevation node. And you are now one step closer to having a fully functional fast travel network. If you wish to be able to travel via teleportation from node to node and planet to planet, then you are going to need to power every single gateway chamber on every planet and moon and activate all 7 gateway engines. As you make return trips to the Unidentified Satellite and place additional triptychs, you will cause more rings to appear and unlock the ability to teleport to new planets. Once you place your 7th and final triptych, something very special happens. Look at the center of the satellite and you'll discover an entirely new odd stone. This odd stone may well be the most special odd stone in the entire universe. If you activate it, all 7 triptychs are consumed, the rings disappear, and, well, you're just gonna have to see for yourself what happens next. I assure you though, it is definitely something you want to see. Not long after, you'll find yourself back on Sylva, once again in your starting shelter. That's right, recruit, your adventures are not over. You may have unlocked all the secrets of the Gateway Fast Travel Network and even scratched the surface of the mystery surrounding our mission from Exodynamics, but there is still much more waiting for you. We will explore these adventures in Astroneer Academy 404, but before we get there, don't you think it's time for some recreation? In our next course, we will be exploring all of the recreational pursuits available for an Astroneer, and we'll even have the return of a very special guest speaker. But until then, I'm Brandon, reminding you to stay vainglorious.